All right, welcome to the podcast. My next guest, Tim Jedrek, is a software engineer, a pilot, and a fellow digital marketer, owner of Right Rudder Marketing, which is a marketing agency for flight schools. So very relevant to what we do, hucking people out of airplanes. You got to get schooled up to do that. And of course, if you're flying a King Air, you got to know how to configure that thing on Jump Run, which is... you got the door open, you got flaps down, you got the rudder basically all over to one side. It's pretty wild. So pretty Tim, cool. Thanks for so much for coming on the podcast. Super appreciate you.
Yeah.
And we met through the Josh Nelson's Josh Nelson's seven-figure agency. It's our mentorship group for marketing. So yeah, super cool to connect with you, and love the aviation niche. I love the flight school niche. Honestly, what led you to get into flight schools?
Oh yeah, I think it was for me, so you kind of mentioned earlier, we were part of the same mentorship group, seven-figure agency. Josh Nelson does a great job, and I don't know, before I even joined the group, I actually read the book. So I tried to do everything cheap. I was a cheap guy, frugal. I still am. There's got to be a person in the business that's always trying to cut expenses, try to reduce overhead, so on and so forth. So for me, I wasn't even a member for the longest time, and I read the book and I just applied everything about marketing that he preached on my own. And one of the things he preaches is finding a specialization, a niche, right? And for me, I didn't know what it would be at the time. I mean, before I went full time with the business, I was working in manufacturing. And I knew I wanted to change my job, so I did a pretty good job, manufacturing 10 years, a whole decade, going from like entry level technician, all the way to like a manager, director level, and it was great. But I knew I didn't want to be there, and so I was looking at career options. So I had one guy, he was programming. This is pre-COVID and all this stuff, all before that, and I remember. I'd wake up at 6 a.m., go to the factory, do my job, and he would literally get up in the morning and, do a Zoom call or something like that. And I'm like, I was so jealous, I was like, I want to learn that. So I started kind of relearning software engineering. That was one path I was kind of pursuing. And then the other side of it was like, being an airline pilot. So I was like, yeah, maybe airline pilot's a pretty cool job at the time. Even now, we're still kind of declaring out to the world pilot shortage, get your ratings, get your certificates, come be a pilot. So I kind of hopped on that bandwagon, and I was starting to train to become an airline pilot. And I got my private, back in 2020, something like that, 2021, I think 2020 actually. And then eventually instrument rating and all this stuff. And so I had some background in being a pilot in aviation, and then I was looking at where to specialize in, and I had sold some websites. It was generalist at the time. This was a side gig. It was not a full-blown agency like we are today. And then I was thinking about the niche. So I had a few interior designers that were clients of mine, website, just pure WordPress, and then didn't have any aviation customers at the time, but I was a pilot, and one of the things they said is like, where do you spend all your time and money at? What's your specialization? And food manufacturing is not really, it's not B2C, so it's not really the best niche. Interior designers, lawn care was another one I was looking at actually, because I had a lawn care customer at the time. And but no, I think aviation. I've always wanted to make aviation part of my life, part of my work life, part of my career, and. Yeah, Right Rudder has afforded that opportunity and that privilege to be able to fly for fun, fly a little bit for work, and also, do marketing and do all that together. So that's how I landed on aviation. It was like I had already had some training and, trying to specialize in something. And I was like, yeah, I want to do something fun. So I chose aviation niche, and it's there's different categories in aviation. You have, let's talk about commercial aviation. You have crop dusters, skydivers, surveyors. That's one aspect of it. Then, of course, you have the 121 world, where that's like the airlines. Where did I spend all my time when I was training? A flight school. So for me, I knew flight school owners already. I knew how the operations kind of worked. I did work at a flight school for a few months as well, doing dispatch and being a lineman. So I was like fueling aircraft and all that stuff for a bit. And yeah, I just want to get involved with it, and that's who I knew. That's the people in my network I knew, flight school owners. So that's where I started it, and then it just kind of one thing led to the next. You get your first customer, and then it just starts building like this huge snowball, and then here we are today. So wonderful opportunity to be doing marketing for the aviation industry, specifically for me, flight schools. I know that you do something very similar. You do drop zones and skydiving. Yeah. So I was curious, how's that? That's got to be crazy.
Well, yeah, I suppose we both know a lot of Cessna 182 owners, right? Yeah. The workhorse of flight schools and drop zones alike. Yeah, it's great. I met my wife skydiving, and wow. Yeah, Josh has that niche selection process, right? It's all about being a niche marketing agency. And I did that, and I wound up on Deck Builders, and I went out to the NADRA event in like Las Vegas, but I went on the wrong days when they were setting up, and I couldn't get in or meet anybody. And
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I was actually working for a digital marketing agency that worked in fintech and financial services, and barf, so lame. so dull. And these big banks are just like spending so much money on ads with no results and no tracking, and I'm like, I feel uncomfortable spending that much money. And I've been working with drop zones for a while, so when they laid me off, I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna look for jobs half the time, and I'm gonna look for clients half the time. And after a month, I had a business. So it's an interesting niche for sure. It takes a lot of time to build results, because they kind of run season by season, and to build trust. There's levels to it, right? Because there's, I'm just a tandem instructor. It's like you get your skydive rating and you just jump. But then when you make the transition to a drop zone owner, right? You're running a small aviation company. You got to worry about your aircraft and your maintenance and your fuel, and some of them run FBOs, right? So you got to worry about the FAA, and I mean, it's wild. It's a wild industry for sure. Just to huck people out of your airplane.
Always got to worry about the FAA, right? You got to get the proper aim out there and make sure you read those regulations.
Yep. What is it? Part 105 is cloud clearance for skydivers. So
I don't know anything about skydiving, but I myself have skydived a few times, and it was an amazing experience. But I personally prefer being the pilot rather than the jumper.
That's awesome. Yeah, so that's one of the weird things, is that eventually you've landed your canopy more than you've had someone else land you. And so, especially I live in Colorado, and so coming into DIA, you're landing at altitude. The weather, the wind can get pretty shifty here, and so you'll be coming in and you're like, where's my feeling for your rig and everything? And you're like, you're side slipping quite a bit. You're doing a forward slip like quite a bit to get down to the runway, So I'm a little bit more aware of like what's happening in the airplane. And I'm more comfortable landing my parachute, honestly. You've just done it way more often than you've actually landed in an airplane. It changes your perception. I think it can really change your perception on a lot of different things, or just at least show you that you can change your perception.
Definitely. I mean, regardless, if you're in the air, doesn't matter, pilot, jumper. I mean, your view on the world is completely like different than I would say the ordinary person, because you've seen the skies from 10,000 feet personally, not just from like a window in a Boeing 737, but not real, like it's like actual, like tangible, like I'm here in this plane and I'm flying, or hey, I'm jumping, and this is what it is. The adrenaline and like the actual, like the view is just incredible. That it's a privilege, I think, we have in the aviation industry, like to see this. Sure. It's like it's an amazing view. And one day maybe we start doing space marketing too, and then we're gonna have a different perspective on everything. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
It's like long-term goal, big huge ass goal. It's like space. Let's do some marketing for space people. I don't know.
Yeah.
But aviation is great.
My ongoing joke for my clients, I put a slide in our little webinar. It's like a Tesla robot. It's like an Optimus robot flying a Twin Otter. So I'm like, you don't have to buy a new plane. You just buy a robot to fly the plane.
There you go.
Just send them. They could fly all day, you know.
One of
What are
these
you working
days.
on right now that really lights you up?
So, well, there's a few things coming up. So we are kind of trying to take our marketing to the next level. So you think about your typical digital marketing agency, right? You have your SEO, website, paid ads, maybe some social media mixed in there, CRM automations, email. I think we did a good job doing that. I think we do in fact, I don't think we did a good job. I think we do a great job with that. But one of the things that I've seen with other agencies, especially some of our colleagues, to do is like, how do we step it up? How do we increase the quality? And a lot of that's through video. A lot of that's through video and content creation. So, my goal for this year, and we've already started it, is we're launching this kind of documentary series. It's like this video. Kind of like episodes where we travel to all these different flight schools, all these different FBOs, airports, and really capture the stories of aviation that people that live this every day, what they go through, and something that's super exciting. We're calling like America's Best Flight Schools or something like that, and we just got 3 episodes filmed last week, 2 weeks ago, and then actually tomorrow I'm going to. Right now I'm in St. Louis. I'm based in St. Louis, Missouri. But tomorrow I'm leaving to California. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to Nevada first. I'm going to Nevada first, check out some schools in Vegas, Reno. Then from there we're going to California. We're checking some schools out like in San Diego, LA, and just do some film, capture the story, capture what people actually are going through, and then show that to the world. And then we hired a professional photographer, videographer.
Nice.
I myself love film as well, so I have some like nice cameras as a marketing guy. But like I wanted to take it up a notch, so that's what we're working on. That's what's it's pretty exciting. One of the next steps for us was like, hey, how do we secure, or how do we promote high customer retention? And a lot of that is our customers, our flight schools, or our drop zones, they care. There's 2 things really. It's about results, and also about kind of feelings, and like do you feel, are they being taken care of, right? And I think by visiting them in person, I really feel that it helps kind of create that human relationship. It's not just talking to someone across the street like, oh, it's Tim. I know Tim. Like I've shook his hand. We went flying together. It creates a different dynamic with our. I don't even like calling them customers, even though it is a business, right? I like to call them partners because we're in this together, and I think that's how we look at that's how I look at our marketing is, how do we in this partnership, as your marketing arm, how do we promote your goods and services to the world? And we do that through obviously the main channels like website SEO, paid ads. But then the next level is really storytelling. It's really storytelling and engaging the audiences about hey, what does my drop zone do? Why is this drop zone special than another one? We always promote like, what's the UVP here? What's the unique value prop? So that's what we're working on right now, and super excited. We're about to go on tour again. So I'm leaving tomorrow. Then after that, I'm coming back I'm going to Miami after that too. And then probably in March we're going to Indiana. And then in May we're going back to Miami actually. So we're going to be doing another tour in Florida as well in May. And then June, July we haven't scoped that one out yet, but I'm probably going to be in the East Coast checking out Carolinas and all that stuff. We have some schools over there. But yeah, it's just basically right now we're touring around, flying around, whether commercial or personally. We're going to be touring around the country, making videos, sharing stories, and it's just super exciting. It's like something that like this is you think about like, what's your day job? Oh, I go traveling,
Yeah,
and
right.
I film I promote aviation. It's like, that's amazing. It's an amazing job to have. So
Are you gonna be? Are you primarily telling like your client stories, or folks who are there getting their pilot rating, or what?
yeah, it's overall like why people got into aviation, why people got into like why did they even pursue a path like this? Because for the pilot stuff, it's it's a mixture of you have your people that love having fun and flying around maybe, or even business, flying around for save some time. But a lot of it's career oriented for us. I think for us it's like, hey, why are you pursuing a career in aviation? Why are you wanting to go out there and become a pilot? And everyone has a different story. Everyone has a different reason to really do that. I detail some of the reasons in my book, by the way. Shout out to my book somewhere, Flight School Handbook of Marketing Knowledge. We talk about why people even have the impetus to go fly, to become a pilot. And some of it's resource gathering, making some money, financial aspect of it. Some of it's like the appeal, looking cool, saving time. But yeah, it's all about capturing the story, and that's kind of what we're focused on. Like, what brings people here? Because I think, at the end of the day, as marketers, our job is to really, share with the world what people's stories are, and then if we're able to drive an impact, through, the five senses, emotional, making people really think about stuff. That's how we know we did a good job. Because then by that, if we somehow impact the five senses or somehow impact like someone's like emotional, make them feel happy or sad or inspired or something like that, whatever it is, I think that it's more sticky compared to just like, I don't know, like normal, just like a graphic on Facebook ad or something like that. I feel like, if we actually tell a story, like, the excitement of like getting strapped in a plane and then jumping out, like what led up to, getting my first skydiving ticket. I've been thinking about this for 30 years and then now I did it, and sharing that with the world would be so, just inspiring, I think. So
Yeah,
that's kind of what I'm going for. I'm going for like the inspiration. I'm going for like the storytelling, and that's just, I think that for us, that's the next level to kind of hit at, because I think we do the website stuff really well, the SEO, the paid ads, and I'm just looking for what's the next piece we can make, our schools stand out better. Well, what's the next piece I can have for our flight schools and our aviation businesses to stand out? And I think it's really about, storytelling.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to storytelling, especially as there's so much content out on social media and there's so much salesy stuff that I really love digging into the stories too, because I get a lot of folks who are like, well, my dad, they're like, why'd you get into skydiving? It's like, well, my parents owned a drop zone, all the way to like, I was in special operations and needed something to do when I hit rock bottom after I got out, and it hits a whole gamut of just it's just random types of people. A certain type of person, I think, gets into skydiving. As the USPA says, individualists who like to do things together. Because ultimately, you got to break apart and save your own life at the end of the jump, So you got to at least have that agency to jump in on your own.
Yeah. One of the reasons why we are doing the story thing is also about AI. So we think about SEO, we think about how to rank our businesses higher. A lot of it was before keywords. So keywords was kind of what we were focusing on for the most part. Like, what are people searching for? Okay, drop zone near me, or how to be skydiving here. That's what people would search before. AI, there's a thing like the EAT framework or something like that. And they really play on like the customer experience. Like, what is the experience, or like what did they have to go through to get the service, and why did they get the service, and like the reviews and all that stuff. So that's why I feel that the storytelling helps fulfill that the AI kind of need. Because if you just keyword stuff everything, you can rank decently well. I think for you to then go propel on top of AI search, it's really all about telling a story. And really allowing the AI to then convey that to the end user that way. And then if you provide that content that no other competitors are providing, then that's how we get successful with it. It's about mixture of tactical SEO, get the schema, meta tags, all that type of stuff, but also really providing content where it gives the AI context and kind of a framework to like go off of, like, hey, this business is really doing this. Here's what their customers are saying. Oh, there's a video on YouTube that's going about this stuff. Okay, got it. Let's send this to the user. Compared to, let's say, a business that is barely bare bones, maybe have a WordPress site, 5-10 pages, call it a day. It's all about being the premier business on the field. Like, this is this has all this content is out there on the internet, and it's helped circulate via SEO, paid ads, AI search. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing that too. So
yeah, it's funny you say that, because that's something we've been focusing on is telling better stories. Really, there's a lot of cool stuff that happens at a drop zone. There's always like the 80, 90, 100-year-old per person going for their skydive. The news likes to pick up on that. but we get a lot of negative coverage. You know,
Really?
most drop zones that have been around for a while, it's usually an incident, you know, either an injury or fatality that gets covered in the news. And even then, it's just like, oh, the parachute failed to open, and that's never the case. That's literally never the case. So I feel like there's a huge communication gap because that's the most types of coverage drop zones get, unless there's like a record or something cool happening, which I'm like, yeah, let's promote that. Give me all your video. Let's promote it. But then there's also like, I go to the gym in the morning and it's like dubstep wingsuit bass videos are dedicated to like a single channel on the TV. And it's, so you're like numbed out to that, right? And you're like, but people thinking about going for their first skydive, now it's got some main character energy to it. It's like, definitely. Oh, I would never do that. Oh, you're crazy. You get that a lot.
Yeah, you know, part of what I want to do, part of what it's kind of instilled in our mission and vision is kind of changing how we perceive aviation as a whole. I think it's, you know, the press we get is always negative, if any. It's always, airplane crash here, or fatality here, you know. But there's, you know, so much more that goes into this. Think about all the studying that was involved to like even, you know, do this stuff, the safety requirements that was, you know, established. The reason people get into the business in general, you know, there's so much more than just, oh, you know, someone died. It's like, okay, great. Problem is the news, nothing against the media and the medias and all this stuff, but they're always trying to promote us negatively. Or here's another one I've always seen. I don't know if you see this one for drop zones, but like we'll get complaints on Google, not from customers or anything like that. It's people in the area near an airport complaining, oh, there's planes flying overhead. And it's like, hey, there's too many planes, and it's so loud and noisy, and there's a plane so like only 1,000 feet above my head. I'm like, you literally bought a house by an airport. It's like,
yeah,
like, dude,
that was a constant issue here at Mile High up in Longmont.
Yeah.
Right. There was even a lawsuit. This gal set up the Quiet Skies Committee, and
oh my God, it's like
skydivers would put a bumper sticker that says "I love airplane noise." And the FAA even came out here with like microphones, you know, and it's like, dude, they run a specific jump pattern. They take off over this empty field, gain altitude before they even come back. Yep. I mean, they run a noise mitigation pattern. It's like, you bought the house there. Did you not know there was an airport?
No, I see.
And the FAA, you know, they're pretty good for fighting for skydiving companies, which is pretty wild.
That's good.
A valid aviation activity.
It's like, you know, it's aviation. I mean, we're literally in the sky, you know. It's like, if you don't want to be near that, don't buy a house near an airport. it's insane. I know, so, yeah, combating negative Google reviews, that's a hard one too. So we've had a few times where we were able to remove reviews by reporting it. But a lot of times, you know, it's just all about responding the right way and being very professional. And, you know, reputation is very important.
Yeah. So were you into flying when you were a kid, or
no?
Was that just a COVID thing? Where you?
It was a recent development. So I've always wanted to do it. So I've always wanted to. I was actually on the fence a few times now. It's probably I'm definitely over the age now. But like, there's 2 times I was heavily considering joining the military, like Air Force. One was right after college. I was planning on, you know, joining, you know, going to OTS, Officer Training School, whatever, be an Air Force pilot, whatever. Realized that I realized that I like flying more than I think, and I love America. I love my country. I don't know if I could serve in that capacity though, you know. So I knew it wasn't right for me. But then I was again thinking about it again when I was like 35 or 33 or something like that. There's a cutoff age for it. So I'd always dreamed of doing it. Even as a young kid, I was always considering it. And another part was when I was working in corporate manufacturing. You know, I was making a decent amount of money, and I was looking at like, okay, well, to be a pilot, I got to invest $100K roughly in training, and then after that, I make $20,000 a year. You know, doing, you know, I don't know, light commercial work, survey pilots, CFI, certified flight instructor, or something like that for a bit. That was back 6 years ago, or maybe 10 years ago. The pay was really bad, and then even as a regional pilot, you wouldn't make much money. And now there's definitely the salaries have definitely ballooned up, and for the better for our pilots. So now it's definitely more equitable and more. It's definitely a better deal compared to like 10, 15 years ago when I was considering it. So yeah, I never really pulled the trigger on it. I never pulled the trigger on aviation or flying just because I had a decent, income and decent life at the time. And but what it was actually my father. For I think it was like what my 20-somethingth or 30-somethingth birthday, bought me a Discovery flight, and after that, I was just hooked. And then I remember at the same time. So before I even finished my written, I had done my first jump from skydiving too. So I'm like, oh, okay, I just flew a plane. I just jumped out of a plane. Yeah, I'm in the game. So I remember posting this like 5-6 years ago when I first started, and it's just taken off ever since. And I just love it. It's just something that very privileged to do, and as a kid, I've always looked at it, but I just never pulled the trigger. And as an adult, I'm happy to do it. And I think what I've seen also with a lot of airports and a lot of communities around airports is like we're focusing a lot on youth. So youth in aviation, like the EAA, for example, experimental aircraft owners or something like that. They do what's called Young Eagle flights. They try to promote it to the young kids. There's a lot of STEM activities now. STEAM, they call it STEAM. You put the A for aviation in there. So there's a lot of progress towards inspiring the younger generation to do this, and I think it's really good. And I wish when I was younger, I see some of these stories of like, we have a school that they have like a ground school for the kids. These guys are like 13, 12 years old. Put them in a simulator, and then at the end of the day, they go up to the tower. Then they also do maybe a Discovery flight or something like that at the end of the summer camp or something like that. And if I had that when I was a kid, I would have got my pilot's license when I was like 17, when I was 18. I didn't have that as a kid. I'm actually, in my immediate family, I'm the first pilot in the family. I think I had a great grandfather that was a pilot, maybe in World War II or something like that. But really outside of that, there was really no one in my family that did it, so I was not surrounded by it. So it was really fortunate that my father did buy me a Discovery flight for me, and got me in the community, because it was not easy. I think I don't know for drop zones if it's like how is there some apprehension between potential customers actually calling and pulling the trigger to get to do the skydiving event, or is it like? Because I feel like for me, there was some apprehension. There's airports have a fence potentially. People. It's kind of like a in-out type community. But once you're in, and it's really welcoming. It just like from the outside, if you've never really been in aviation, I feel that there's some apprehension trying to get involved because like you just don't know how. And I think that's our job as marketers is to really bring them in, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, and I think you really got to have good signage as a drop zone, because I've been to DZs where I show up and I'm like, which hangar, where, and then like walk by the Packers and the airplane, and you kind of don't know where the manifest is. So yeah, that's something we like to coach, and make sure that like how's your on-site experience? Do you have clear signage? Because people are already kind of, nervous because they're going to see the parachutes coming down generally on their way in,
Yeah.
And then you got to watch the Bill Booth video, the guy with the beard. That's everybody watches the Bill Booth video. And that guy's a legend too. I mean, he invented the 3-ring system and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, I mean, once you get there, and once you start seeing people jumping and having a good time and coming to pack, like, I think that starts to ease up. But there's definitely a moment, and I think we see it with our gift certificates. Maybe like 20% of gift certificate never get redeemed.
Yeah.
So they'll buy $50 or $100 for somebody, and then they just won't ever use it. Which is unfortunate. I think it's a fun experience, and the safety records on tandem skydiving are pretty damn solid. Mm-hmm. Even since I've been jumping, it's the fatalities have been cut in half yearly, and they've gone from like 3.2 to almost 4 million skydives a year, just in the U.S., which is the skydiving mecca of the world. Yeah. There's more drop zones, more jumps that happen here. It's definitely an American sort of thing.
I do think safety is really good. I mean, like for drop zones, aviation in general, it's gone down as far as number of crashes. It's a problem is what you have, I think, and this kind of encompasses both of our industries, is that, the big operators, the 121, if there's an accident, it gets blasted everywhere. So like last year was a really bad year for aviation, even though statistically we had less accidents than previous years, because we had that Black Hawk incident in DC. Then we had like then there was like the crash as well, with the airlines, and then another one in Canada. It just didn't. The public perception of aviation kind of went down in a way, and I think it's our job to help kind of re-promote it back to normal levels. I don't know the right way to say that, but it's a very safe activity. I think skydiving, flying planes, it's dangerous, but then we have safety protocols in place, and I think it's we have to follow procedures. I think we have to follow checklists. And then that's what makes it safe. Comparatively, and let's say talk about aviation accidents compared to, let's say, traffic, like cars and stuff. Like, we're so much slower. I mean, per capita, or I don't know, per percentage wise. I mean, obviously there's way more car accidents and all that stuff. But
a couple of years ago, my wife and I were on I was on a Southwest flight coming out of Denver, where the engine cowlings just flapped up and tore off on the right side engine, and we were sitting on the left side engine kind of looking through, and I was like, I'm probably not the best person to be in an aviation situation like that, because people are like panicking. They're like, oh my god, why are we not turning around? And I'm like, well, altitude is our friend right now. I'm like the pilot probably doesn't want to touch any of the control surfaces right now until he gets on the radio and can kind of clear a path either to the springs or whatever. It was wild, man, because it eventually just tore off, and I was like, oh, it could hit the stabilizer, man. It will be like totally. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I felt like I was just waiting for fear. I was like, okay, it's good now, it's stable, nothing's going crazy. But a bunch of my video got picked up on the national news, and like,
wow,
that night my wife and I, we had a couple of drinks, because we were like, on the next flight out after we landed, they gave us free champagne, and I was like, thank you. Well done. The pilot took the rest of the day off, but no, we're gonna keep flying to Houston. But I remember we landed on the long runway here. It's the longest runway in North America, doing I think we're doing like 275 miles an hour.
Jeez.
No flaps, no brakes.
No flap landing?
No reverse thrusters, all brakes, right? So we had to sit there on the tarmac for half an hour so the brakes could cool before they came out so they can pick it up. And it wound up right on landing, shaking off and flying off. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Man, I'm glad that didn't happen in midair.
Yeah, wow. That's quite the experience. I've never actually endured, knock on wood, I never endured a Part 121 flight accident. I think the closest one I had was I hit a bird one time. I was flying around and just hit a bird.
I have a bunch
blood
of
everywhere, all
photos
over
and
the
video
wing,
from that. And we landed in Houston, and the news was there, like trying to interview everybody, and it was pretty wild. And I mean, people from the Today Show were like calling me on my cell phone. I'm like, how'd you get my cell phone?
Jeez.
It's because we shared images with other people who were on the plane, right? Because I had my GoPro, and I was like, oh, let me just take a picture. Let me just document what's happening here.
It's pretty cool.
But it was wild. And I remember I wasn't very, I guess you've been in, if you fly small airplanes, you're used to being bumped around a little bit more than your average bear. And you've probably been out and had to do crosswind landings where you're like, you put one wheel down and then
exactly right. crab it in. Yeah, we call it crab it in, then straighten up, and then go.
Yeah, and if you have to ride down in a skydiving plane, they're descending at 5,000 or 6,000 feet per minute.
No, they're just
So they're just trying to save fuel and get down there, right? So you're like, you're gonna dip a wing and go. You're gonna get down.
Yeah, I've seen some of those. Those are insane.
Standard aviation's like 1,000 feet per minute. So.
Right. Yeah, 500 to 1,000 feet per minute. Then skydiving planes is because once all the jumpers are out, land as quick as possible.
Yeah.
You get paid.
I remember.
I'm not sure. I think I believe they get paid per jump.
Per load.
Yeah, if I remember the price. So like any additional time in the air is like, hey, let's get the money. Let's wrap it up. Then you have some people who are time building as well, because a lot of pilots that are in this jump zone industry, like they're building for the 1,500 hours. That's what they're doing. So they might just glide down, whatever. I don't know. Just build the time, I guess. Who knows?
Yeah, and there's specific schools to teach you how to be a skydiving pilot, right? Because you're going to be in some cases you're going to be putting 4, 5, 6 people outside the door, and on something like a King Air. You put 3 people out of the door, and then all of a sudden you're left stabilizer. There's no input, there's just a big burble going over the wing there. So I think, and the prop blast on the King Air is pretty wild too. So I think, what they do is they basically feather the left prop, and so it's just not giving you a lot of blast, and everything's kind of running on the right one, right? And then they just got to give it a hard rudder to keep it stable, and then you got to muscle that airplane, from my understanding. It's not like a 182. People maybe hang on the wing, but it's not like too crazy. Or a Twin Otter, you could just just don't rush the tail too fast.
Yeah, because I would think once you have people jump out, the load characteristics.
Oh yeah, the center of gravity shifts quite a bit. So
goes somewhere else. So you gotta.
Yeah, and I've been able to sit up co-pilot in the Twin Otter a few times. When they've sent, actually one time they sent a 24 way out, so everyone just like, and you just like float in there, and like it's pretty wild. So yeah, it changes the quality of the airplane quite a bit, but. And they have pretty standard airplanes, the 182, 208, the 206, the King Air, and the Twin Otter.
Those are the standard ones. I did a jump in Australia, and it surprised me they did it out of a Cessna Caravan.
Yeah, the Caravan's a great skydiving plane.
That's an interesting one.
It's you could fit 15 jumpers in there, and it's got a nice cargo bay door, nice and wide. The King Air door is pretty narrow, so it's pretty wild. And you duck the tail on your way out. Don't jump. But yeah, the Caravan is super nice. We jumped out of one quite a bit in Florida, and we lived in Florida. I loved it.
Yeah,
and it gets to altitude fast too. It's kind of
a nice
big
plane.
Balance.
Caravans are nice.
The introductory turboprop for there.
I just remember, you're stepping out, and I did a tandem jump. I never did solo, but a tandem guy was like, okay, put your leg here. All right, we're gonna lean forward. I'm like, all right, here we go. And then the next thing you know, you're in the air. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and tell me about your first skydive. I'd love to hear about it.
My first skydive, 5-6 years ago, middle of nowhere, Greenville, Illinois. So, it was it was a bucket list item. So I really wanted to skydive. Prior to that, I had done cliff diving, so I'm kind of a dopamine fiend. I try to chase the adrenaline, Before that, snowboarding and all that stuff. And anyway, it was a bucket list item, and my buddy and I have been talking about it for years. And I was like, yeah, just book the damn thing, man. Just book it. And finally, we booked it. Drove about an hour outside of St. Louis to Greenville, Illinois, and then we hopped in. I was freaking going crazy. I was ecstatic. I was I don't know. I think the third time around, I was like, okay, I know what's going on. It's whatever. But the first time you do it, it's you just kind of, the adrenaline is insane. Just because you're you don't know what to expect, and it's your first time. And it was also, I was not a pilot yet, so it was also I've never been really in a small plane either. So combine the skydiving thing plus flying in a small plane, that was they strapped us all up. They gave us made us watch some videos, and then we had to do some training, ground school. It was they had to sit us on the ground with an instructor, and this is how you go out the plane, and make sure your body's positioned this way, and when you land, put your feet up. I was like, okay. But yeah, it was really crazy. So it was a 182. It was a small little plane, and we flew up. I think it was about 7,000, 10,000 feet, and then they opened the door, and then we hopped out. Then we were free fall for probably just a few seconds. It felt very fast. It was really fast. But then, yeah, we were free fall for a little bit, and then, he pulled the chute, and then we were just kind of gliding. And at that point, it was very relaxed. I was like, oh, this is nothing. This is easy. Okay. It's not bad at all. But no, the first, the air is just going on. My whole face is like this. So, it was crazy. And no, I love doing it. I love doing it. It's quite the adrenaline rush, I will say. How many jumps have you gone through? So I've only done like maybe 3 or 4. So just kind of curious.
I have like 350.
Jesus Christ, man!
Not a lot.
Honestly,
we haven't jumped in like a year and a half. Well, I mean, I talk to people all the time that are like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. I know people who've done 30,000 plus. They've been working in the industry 30 plus years and doing 1,000 jumps a year.
Wow.
So it's tough though. I mean, if you don't work in the industry, it's hard to get like 5,000 jumps unless you're working full time in it.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You just got a lot of money to spend on it. So
it's a lot. It's gotta be if you don't work, if it's just for hobby. I mean, I can't imagine. 'Cause each jump's with a few $100, I'm assuming.
No, it's anywhere from like 32 to 38 now.
3,800.
Yeah, you're just paying for a ride to altitude,
3,800 for a jump?
Got your own gear.
Oh, shoot. So, okay, that's way more than I thought it was.
It's doable.
I think when I jumped, it was like, maybe this is too long ago. Maybe it was like, like I said, 5-10 years ago, like, I think we paid like 400, 500 for a jump.
Yeah. Well, you're paying, because, I mean, tandem rigs are pretty expensive.
Yeah.
And you got to pay the instructor. It gets, $40 to $60 a jump. Or whatever. I'd say that's the going rate. Sorry. I tell people that are getting $30 a jump. They're like, what? I'm getting screwed. But yeah, it's and you got to pay for the gear maintenance and all that stuff and the profit. So yeah, there's a little profit, right? Because if you're running fun jumpers, you got to think of on the 208, right, on the Caravan, like what's my cost per flight hour all in, and then if I can turn 3 loads per hour, how many regular jumpers do I need on there to make it profitable, right? And it's like, I think they'll break even at like six jumpers per load, I think.
Just kind of curious. So we'll talk a little bit about money, I suppose. That's a hot topic, right? Flight schools have a very tight margin for the most part until they scale up and they're about like $3 million in revenue. Like we're dealing with single digit margins for the most part. I'm kind of curious, is that similar in the drop zone industry, like or is it more profitable?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, it can definitely be profitable, but you really got to run tandems. If you're doing fun jumpers, then you're going to run into a lot smaller profit. Depending, right? Because there's a lot you could do. You could do AFF jumps. You can sell packages like that, which are going to be more for, because first skydive, you're going to have 2 instructors with you. Then there's coaching, and then there's like team sponsorships. So you'll have teams come and buy block jumps in a discount, right? And so they'll be doing like 100 jumps in a week, or 2 weeks or something like that. But yeah, and a lot of drop zones, it's a balance between tandems and the fun jumpers. The smaller DZs for sure, the 182s, it's like, that's all tandems, right? We can fit 2 tandems in the airplane with, I don't know, anywhere from a $300 to $400 average value, because I would say most people get the upgrade to like hand cam photos.
Yeah, I did upgrade. Yeah, I got the GoPro footage and all that stuff. It's commemorated.
But you should. I mean, if you're gonna do it once and you don't know if you're gonna get into it, like get the video. At least do your first tandem for sure.
Get the video. If you're considering skydiving and you haven't bought your ticket yet, but you just bought it, get the video.
Get the video. Yeah, and they have a high conversion on the video. It's like upwards of 80% usually.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Ironically, what's crazy is that we get a lot of repeat customers these days.
Really?
That's kind of a newer thing. So people come back and do 2 or 3 tandems like a year, and that's as far as they get into it. They're like, nope, not interested in flying my own canopy, and I just want to get hucked out by tandem instructor. No offense to all the TIs out there, but if you would drink the night before with some of these guys, maybe you would want to fly your own canopy.
I would want to. I want to fly my own canopy one of these days, but it's just what's the requirements? Just out of curiosity, isn't it like 50 to 100 jumps or something that you gotta
Um, to fly your own canopy?
Yeah.
No, you can go. Most drop zones will have you do a tandem first. I think that's pretty common these days. And then if you know that you want to get into it, they'll let you fly the canopy a little bit so you can kind of feel the controls. But you can do, I did 3 tandems and then I did my first AFF jump.
Oh wow!
And
much lower than I thought.
it was I did it with a guy who had never been in an airplane before. It was in my course. He'd never gone skydiving. He'd never been inside an airplane before in his life. Wow. And he was getting ready to do an AFF jump. And so that's where you have 2 instructors that hold on to your and keep you stable the whole time. You don't have to do nothing but assume the position, watch your altitude, and then deploy at the right altitude. That's it. And some people react to that adrenaline a little differently. So some people kind of freeze up and never pass it, and they're like, I'm done. or they get kind of told not to come back. But I mean, you just have the one thing to do on that first jump. So it's jump and pull.
I mean, it's quite the experience. I mean, it is. I'd probably say that was one of the. Whenever I skydive, that was one of the highest adrenaline rushes I've had.
Yeah, within 7 jumps, you're exiting without an instructor holding on to you.
Yeah. Okay.
It's pretty basic. You just got to present yourself to the relative wind and just have the right body position. So, I mean, yeah, it's pretty simple. And then from there, after AFF, accelerated free fall, 7 jumps, and then you can do a solo. Your next jump will be a solo. So you go up with a student rig and you go all out by yourself, and you just hang out there. What do you do? Wow. And then after 25, you get your A license, which kind of unlocks. You can jump on your own. You can jump with other people. You can do coaching. I think you have to have a C license, 200 jumps before you can get an instructional rating, or go wingsuiting. Generally, it's supposed to be 200 jumps before you wear a camera.
I've never. I was wondering about this because I've never really got exposed to this industry that much. But yeah, so wingsuiting, I've seen those videos. They just kind of cliff dive with a suit on and then just like go.
Yeah, that's a different. You gotta have. They recommend 200 skydives before you go to a base jump course.
Okay, wow.
Which out here you'd probably go to the Perrin Bridge. It's like an 850-foot bridge or something like that, and then take a base jump course. And then they recommend that you have, 200 base jumps before you start adding in the wingsuit.
Wow.
And probably have, a couple hundred wingsuit skydives before you decide to add the wingsuit and the base jump together. Because one mistake going off that cliff, and I mean, you're screwed.
Yeah.
One of my AFF instructors, actually, he passed on a wingsuit base jump.
Oh my God.
And he wasn't even the guy flying in the canyon, right? He was the guy who would do the video, but they added someone to the jump at the last minute. And on the exit, that guy cut him off, burbled him, and he never recovered. He just went into the base of the canyon.
Oh my God.
So you look at the statistics, that's 1,000 times more dangerous than skydiving.
Yeah.
It's like it's getting a little bit better because there's more training and stuff now, but it's still like 1 in every 3,000 jumps. So
yeah, base jumping and
it's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's a different sport altogether.
Yeah, I kind of buttoned them all in my head. I know skydiving is way more, I think, safe and more palatable for me. I mean, I want to, but also I don't want to. I'm also I'm a scaredy cat too, I guess.
Yeah,
so.
I have no interest in pushing the limit like that, I suppose. If I was an adrenaline junkie, I would have stayed in the Marine Corps, honestly.
There you go.
Because I just have I like flying my canopy. I like skydiving with my wife. It's a fun date, and we got young kids, so I'm not trying to up the risk level.
Yeah, there you go. Very good stuff.
So that's something I would love to get back into, jump in this summer, get current again, and like you, go visit clients and go jump and hang out and make a video.
That's what I do. So what I like doing when I do this is like, we go flying. So a lot of times we go to school, we'll just go up in their Cessna or Piper or whatever it is, and go flying around, and it's part of another day at Right Rudder. So I love the industry. I love aviation, and this is just an enormous privilege to be able to do this. I would just say this is I have a very much. I don't know if you know Sean Denon. He's like, have an attitude of gratitude. I'm like, yes, I'm very gracious for being able to do this, both from the aviation front and the marketing front. I mean, we help a lot of people, a lot of aviation businesses really grow their business, and it's something that I've seen firsthand. School barely making it, and then next thing you know, they're just booming. Students everywhere, people flying everywhere. I mean, this stuff is insane. This is a magical power that we have with marketing. It works. You just have to trust the system. You got to build a process, and you just got to be consistent with it. You got to push every single month. Whether it's keywords, whether it's video content, social, whatever it is, you just got to keep pushing every month, and that's kind of what we do, and that's what I hope anyone listening to this. It's all about consistency. So it's same thing with doing the diving stuff. If you want to get your instructor, you got to dive consistently. Am I going where? Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna ask where your clients are mainly based at. Are they like municipal airports or small private fields or a mix?
It's a mix. So it really depends on the area. So like for example, we have some. So for example, Sarasota, Florida. So we have a lot of schools in the Florida region. We have some in Miami, Tampa, Sarasota, Orlando, kind of over there as well. So we got a lot of schools in Florida. Florida is really popular for flight training, and so for example, Sarasota, that's like the main airport there. SRQ is the only airport in that place. So that's the biggest. It's I think a Class Delta maybe, or a Class Charlie airport over there. And then you have some people that are like maybe 30 minutes to an hour away from the main city, and it's just a small. It's not private. It's usually a mixture between. Actually, it could be private. It's a mixture between private ownership / owned by the township. So. It really varies. We have some schools that are in these big FBOs, and there's others that are like just a small airport. Here's the gas, go for it. So it's a mix. It's a mix of flight schools and aviation businesses that we work with.
Yeah, that's cool. Because out here we've got Centennial Airport, which is it's a pretty big regional field, I would say. They got a flight school, and Rocky Mountain Regional. I mean, that one is just super busy, and DIA is crazy busy too. I mean, there's even a lot more flights going over our house than there were out in Florida, I think. But we lived out in Sebastian, so there was there's a municipal airport every 10 miles up the coast that they started in World War II, right? It was like coastal defense.
I didn't know that this was airports. Before I got in aviation, I just knew the metropolitan areas, your Class Bravo ones, LAX, okay, Chicago, right. Midway, whatever. That's all I knew. I didn't know that there was all these small airports everywhere. And as I got into the industry, I'm like, holy crap, this is a whole kingdom caboodle here. It's a lot of. You can fly from anywhere. You don't have to go to the main Bravo. You can go to a smaller one, and it's pretty cool. And I find that a lot of drop zones as well. They're usually not in the main one. They're usually kind of farther out, aren't they?
Yeah, for the most part, municipal airports pretty popular, or even small private fields. There's even a little grass airport neighborhood over by me, Everett Airfield. They've got it's less than 3,000 foot runway. It's pretty small. And it's at 6,500 feet, so it would be pretty hairy getting anything other than that.
Probably 182 as well. You can get in there.
Yeah, 182 Piper Cub.
Yeah, definitely get the Cub in there. I'll tell you that much. Yeah,
there is one. There's a yellow Piper Cub that's always flying out in this area too.
Yeah,
and
I would love to have a host by a grass strip. That'd be I don't know. If I ever have an aviation home dream, that's kind of what that's what it'd be. But it's pretty cool.
There's a lot, and you can. And the cool thing about skydiving is you could kind of set up anywhere. You can drop anywhere as long as it's not nearby an existing large airport. So
there you go.
one of my buddies set up a charter in Alaska, and so he was a former military, and so they decided that they would jump these military rigs in with their packs and rifles and go on a special ops hunting trip. They didn't shoot nothing, but they had a blast going in there and hiking out. So they set up the offset and everything like that. What's the most challenging part of what you do, either flying or in business?
I think the most challenging part is, maintaining relationships. Is probably the hardest one. So, whether that's through, relationships with customers, that's, maintaining the constant contact, the momentum, that can be difficult at times, especially as we scale up. It's, I want to make sure we're giving, adequate service level to, more than adequate, if not more, service level to our customers. But even, internally within the team, as we grow, hiring the right people, scaling the team up, that's been quite the challenge. But it all goes down to like relationships. Like, did we hire the right person in the right seat? Same thing. Is this customer really, a viable customer, or is it more so we're just trying to get a sale in? It's like, sometimes, we have to make sure we understand, who is our target prospect, and then make sure that, or who is our target customer, and make sure that the prospect fits that. Otherwise, it's going to be, it's going to be a bad day for everyone. And the same thing with the team. Is this person really fit to, work for, this company? Or is maybe he's the right person, but it might be in the wrong seat. So I'm a huge EOS guy, by the way. So EOS is the Entrepreneur Operating System. Gina Wickman wrote a book on it, and it talks all about having the right people, and that's probably the biggest challenge. Is really having the right people beside you. When you're running anything of decent size, eventually you go from solopreneur to like, hey, I need a team to like get this stuff done. I need an efficient team, and it's really about having the right people. So that's that's the biggest challenge I've had. We've had people in and out, of the company throughout the years. Love everyone that anyone that walks the door in my office or hops on a Zoom call with me. I hope I had a positive impact in their life. But then, longevity wise, we have some team members that I think have been with us for over 2 years, but a lot of them, barely make it past a year. So it's like, how do we foster an environment where people can be, can find their passion, and also deliver results at the end of the day. So yeah, relationships are really hard, especially, the more nodes you connect to the system, it gets, less. You have less bandwidth to kind of transfer around. So in order to, be more efficient, you have to add another node or another person to the team to help kind of distribute the load. So I don't know. That's kind of my take on it. It's I would say, relationship building, and both internal and external. It's been a challenge, and I think that's probably with any business. Doesn't matter if you're a drop zone, if you're a car wash or anything like that. Or McDonald's even, you need to have the right team in place, because if you don't have that going, it's like it's a hard time for everybody. So.
Do you have any like direct competitors that are kind of doing what you do, just for flight schools?
When I first started out, there was one competitor out there that I had my eye out, but she kind of moved to more like FBOs and like 135 charter operations, and then. So for the most part, it was an empty market when I ventured in, and I think the reason for that, I think people have tried. So I talked to other people in the industry. There's a previous iteration of what I do, not as big and well known, but there was a guy out there maybe 10, 20 years ago who was trying to do marketing for flight schools and aviation businesses. Had a good run, then he quit. But yeah, it was a pretty empty field, just because I think there's a high barrier to entry. I think, being able to speak the language, being able to, I think people try to get in there, but then if you're not a pilot or you not have any aviation background, a lot of them people will call it out, and they'll see that, and they're like, why would I spend my time with you? So it was pretty flat when I first started, and I think people saw that, hey, we were decently successful with it, maybe. And over the years, I've seen a few pop up over time. Now, I always have my eye out for it, and I always try to, and my mentality is it's abundance mentality, So, even though we're only like 1,000, 2,000 schools in the U.S., and you can only split the pie so many ways. I like to look at it as there's an abundance mentality. There's other ways, other industries we can scale up to, and other things that are also in our pipeline. R&D, innovation. We're looking at software too. So we're looking at different ways to innovate, and I welcome the competition, but I also want to collaborate with the competition. I think that's kind of where I look at it, and I think that's something important. So, is there competitors? Not many in the beginning, but now there's a few. And if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, this Right Rudder guy, he's doing a good job, and maybe we can collaborate somehow. Just reach out. So that's all. That's my message to my competitors. I don't look at it as competitors. I look to you guys as colleagues. If anything, it's colleagues. We're all doing the same mission and vision. We're trying to promote aviation, whether it's flight schools, drop zones, 135 operators, FBOs, whoever you are, aviation shops, avionics shops. We're all in this together. I think if you're in the aviation community, it's a very small community, but we need to be welcoming to each other, and we need to respect each other and be professional. So, yeah. I'll leave it at that.
I'm just curious. It's not. And we're in a very small niche. It's me and James. Shout out to James. He's got a great podcast, by the way. But I don't see him as the competition so much as we work in the same field. Ultimately we care about the people that we serve.
Yep.
But it is hard to break into. That's probably why he's so nice about it when I called him up years ago. Or he called me up.
It's hard to break into, yeah. I mean, like, if, for example, if I never skydived before, and then I want to start a skydiving marketing agency, I think everyone would look at me with a side eye, like, who the hell is this?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are trying to do what they do to get something out of the drop zone owner, like, hey, let me make you a video. And it's like, they have no shortage of people walking around with cameras on their heads. Let me do what I do, and then you pay me for it. And it just feels like I guess the word that comes to mind is transactional, but it's more of like a removal of value. You're trying to get something from the drop zone, which is usually more jumps, right? It's usually like, pay me some block jumps or whatever, which honestly, that's how I kind of started. I was like, hey, you could just pay me in jumps, and we'd run a marketing plan. And, all of a sudden I had just way too many jumps on my account and not enough time to use them. And I was like, maybe you should just pay me cash. Yeah. But yeah, it's, I see it as like service. Ultimately I want the industry to grow. And I want to bridge the gap between just the communication gap, right? Because you go from the gym where you see these wingsuit base jump videos, and you're like, oh, you need like 500 jumps to do that. And there's
levels.
It's like, oh shit. Because some people roll up to the drop zone and they're like, I just want a wingsuit base jump, and it's like, slow down, killer. Maybe learn to crawl first, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, we all have, like, that's the thing. There's not much content out there, and I think that's why I'm glad you're here to help promote the content. Because even for me, I was like, I said, oh, I'm gonna get my private pilot license in like 2 weeks. And I remember I took off work for 2 weeks. And I said, I'm gonna get my license. By the end of 2 weeks, I didn't even solo. It's like, we have these unrealistic expectations out there. I think if you're not in the industry, that I think, what, myself and Mark, we do is that we promote and we put content out there so that it helps explains things maybe and set expectations a little better. Just because I think a lot of people that are outside of it and have never done it before, they just don't understand it, And kind of to your point too, being a service, it's like, yeah, you can have a guy do X, Y, Z, SEO, whatever, paid ads or website, whatever. My take on it, it's a partnership. We're partnering with this aviation business, and how can we drive the needle forward? It's not just about transactional. You're my website guy, and that's it. It's like we try to say like, hey, well, we're your consultants for marketing, and we're also managing all of your marketing assets while we're at it. But it's really a partnership that goes both ways. Yeah. And we see the best success when a customer, a flight school, they also commit to their end, marketing. So they're posting on their socials. They're following up with us as far as what we need to update. It's very 2A. It's not very like, okay, I'm gonna pay you $1,000. Now get out my face and just get me more leads. It's like, dude, it's like. So.
Yeah, it's really got to be collaborative to get the best work, I think. And what I love about the industry too is that my clients are really savvy business operators.
Yeah.
I've been on calls with, people funded by VCs and these big expensive banks, and they're spending $50,000 a month on Google ads for their startup, and they don't even have enough business yet. And we start talking about like conversion tracking, and they're like, what's that? And I don't know. And, a lot of drop zone owners are like, they're pretty dialed in, they know their numbers, they know what it takes to run their business. They've been, diving into different platforms. And,
that's so different.
I tell them that too, because they're like, oh, I just jump out of airplanes. And I'm like, no, dude, you run a full aviation company.
Yeah.
Plus you've got manifest, you've got customers trusting you with their lives. It's a really unique industry. So what are you excited about this year into marketing? Because it's like a two-part question.
Yeah.
One, do your prospects talk about AI as much as mine do? And B, what are you excited for, like in marketing or in aviation this year?
So I guess the question about AI, I mean, like, I think it's a hot topic maybe that kind of spreads around. It's more of a buzzword, but a lot of, I would say, flight school operators don't really understand it very well. And that's kind of where it's at. I mean, it's like, for me, it's a tool. I think it's a tool to use. I don't use it as like a crux or anything like that. I actually try to do as much human stuff as possible. But it's definitely saves a decent amount of time. So it helps a lot with copywriting, coding. How do we implement that at a flight school though? At their level, I don't know yet. So a lot of it these days is talking about like AI scheduling maybe is one of the near future things coming up. But as far as, just the immediate market that I see in flight schools and aviation, I mean, I think, yeah, it's definitely there. Just I don't think we're at a level yet where it's not the same as other industries. I'll just leave it at that. Like, there's a lot of regulations and different. We're not up to speed yet with it. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I'd say my prospects are more concerned about how are people discovering me. Because we're starting to see a lot more. Obviously, we can't see a whole lot, but we do get bookings from like ChatGPT pretty regularly every month now.
I mean, my take on it is like, if you're doing really well SEO, then it will translate to good GEO or AEO, whatever you want to call it. So if you're showing up on
SEO.
search,
I'm just going back to SEO.
Call it SEO.
Really, because now it's just search is powered by AI. But it's still...
but if you do a good job, getting a aviation business ranked on Google, then more than likely they'll also show up on ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, Claude, all the Perplexity, all those things as well. So that's kind of my take on it. And then what am I most excited for? Like I said earlier, the biggest project we're working on is traveling. It's really kind of doing this documentary series, so visiting different flight schools, flying around. I'm really excited just to meet everybody and make some good footage and get some and promote the industry. That's kind of what I'm excited for. So airlines are finally hiring back up now. So we had a clog for like a good portion of 2025. Like a lot of CFIs with 1,500 hours just couldn't get a job, and now they're finally getting out there. So definitely, I'm happy to see the pipeline finally moving, and we're having more openings, and people are moving around, getting new jobs, getting more training done. So that's exciting from from a generalist standpoint. But yeah, for me personally, I'm excited to be part of the entire industry, and visiting our customers, and also our other schools that are not our customers, but just checking
Sounds
them
like
out anyway.
Blast.
Really. It
Sounds like a good time.
That's what I'm excited for, and then I'm excited also, as we scale our company, like looking at receiving more flight schools to help them out, expanding our business, hiring more people. It's not easy. I'll say that. Not easy to scale on a business, whether it's from the marketing standpoint or from the actual operator standpoint, whether you're a drop zone operator or a flight school operator. It's not easy. When you wake up, drink the coffee in the morning, and get out of bed. It's like, what am I getting into today? Every day is a little dynamic, right? But I'm in it just for the passion of aviation. That's what I'm in it. So,
That's awesome. Where can we find your show?
check out we call it the Aviation Business Podcast, but we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube. Check out rightruddermarketing.com. You can also give me a call if you are interested in any marketing services. 314-804-1200 is our phone number. Also info@rightruddermarketing.com. So yeah, I'm happy to be on the podcast, Mark. It's been a pleasure being with you. We'll see each other pretty soon. I don't know if you're going to Miami or not, but I hope to network
Not
with
this
you.
time. Maybe over the summer.
Okay.
What about your? Are you going to be publishing episodes of your flight school tours?
Pretty soon. So we have it edited already, but it's like 3 to 5 minute clips. Really, it's ADD. It's a real thing out there. I was like, do we want a 30-minute documentary series on a school? I'm like, cut it down to 5-10 minutes maybe. But yeah, we'll be publishing it pretty soon on our YouTube channel. So check out Right Rudder Marketing on YouTube. Check us out on Spotify. We're on all the social media platforms, in Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. So yeah, if you're interested in what we do, if interested in being a pilot even, just reach out. Then I'll be more than glad to help. So yep.
Awesome. Love it. Well, thanks, Tim. Thanks for coming on and for your insights into marketing and the flight school world and all that. I'm sure plenty of people who watch us are probably getting interested in becoming a pilot, or I got a lot of skydivers that follow me on YouTube. So
there you go.
Some of them would be interested taking the next step, earning some jump tickets,
There you go.
If you're super appreciate you, man. It's too bad I won't be making it down for Miami this time, but I'll probably try to be scheduling for July. Definitely November. I've made it down November every year.
Well, I'll see you around. I'll make sure to shake your hand next time I see you.
Yeah. And if you got a flight school out here in Colorado that can fly with the door open, you let me know.
I don't. But when I do, you'll be the first one to.
All right, brother. Yeah, we'll have to meet up.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, sir. See you around.
Take care.
Yep. Bye.